Plus 2 Accountancy NCERT book, Chapter 2, Accounting for Partnership, especially basic concepts are going to be discussed in this lecture. And before I go into that, let me just brief what is called partnership. Sole trade business where we can invest our own fund and run the show. If I am in need of more fund and more hands to organize a business, then I can join or admit some of my friends and relatives also being one of my partner to run the business, then it comes into the partnership firm here. So here the basic concepts, especially I am going to discuss the nature of partnership, how should be a partnership, right? As per the Indian Partnership Act 1932, section 4 defines, I am just going to elaborate those definitions, so key points here. So I am going to discuss only 4 aspects here that gives you the idea about the partnership firm, right? Relationship between the persons, 2 or 3 persons are their relationship, right? Agreed to share the profits from where? Of a business, okay? Business is nothing but busily you engage yourself in an activity to earn the profit. If I join together for going for a movie and for an outing or tour, of course will not come under partnership. It should have an objective to make a business, profit of a business, right? So relationship between 2 or 3 persons at least agreed to share the profits because of running a business. That business is carried by all the partners. So 4 are the partners running a business, all the 4 can run the business, or one of them taking care of the others, right, for all. So one of them acting for all. This is the 4 core information or points you have to keep in your mind for the partnership. Very simple. So in the case of partnership, you need to understand the meaning first of all. Relation between the persons agreed to share the profits because of running a business, by that business is carried on by all or any one of them acting for all. So these are the 4 elements you need to keep in your mind as per the definition of section 4 under the Partnership Act 1932, right? Each and every member of your firm individually will be called as partner. All the partners put together collectively we can call them as firm. Clear? So individually will be partner and collectively will be firm. So A, B, C, D join together to run the business, right? A is a partner, B is a partner, C is a partner, D is a partner. Collectively all the 4 put together running the business, this particular team will be called as firm. So collectively is a firm and individually it's a partner. I hope so you could understand the core difference between individually and collectively, right? And that partnership firm has its own name. So its own name, firm's name, okay? So this partnership will function in the business or in the environment as a some identity which has its own firm's name. So the firm's name will be the identity. With that identity it will exist in the market, right? But of course, so firm, though it's having separate identity in the market, but legally it is not separately identified. So these are same, means partner and the firm will be the same. If anything worst happens in the partnership firm, then immediately the partner will come for the answering, right? So there is no any separate legal entity here. There is no separate legal entity in the case of partnership. Is it okay? So individually we can call them as a partners and collectively we can call them as a firm, right? And the firm will function in the market with its own identity. That identity is named as firm's name. Though it has its own name, this name will not mean that there is no relationship between the firm and partner. If anything goes wrong to the firm, definitely the partner will come under answer. So because of that, so we can call that we don't have separate entity here. So no separate legal entity. So now I just briefed what is called partnership here as per the section 4 of Partnership Act. Now, what are the features? What are the characters we have the firms? Means here we have a list of 6. 2 or more persons. The partnership firm defines at least 2 persons should be there. What is the maximum number of persons that partnership firm can have? If I ask that question, of course there is no answer in the Partnership Act. That answer will be drawn from the Companies Act. So the Indian Companies Act 2013 Section 464 says you cannot have an entity not registered under the company Companies Act more than 100. So from this it is very clear, any organization, if it is not being the company, cannot have as members more than 100, provided that same section 464 defines 464 and empowers the government to modify the number. So immediately the central government has modified the number in the Companies Rule 2014, that maximum number of members could be for the private means partnership firm, means in the case of partnership firm cannot exceed 50. So effectively, though the Companies Act says 100 will be the maximum, but the Companies Act rule, the Companies Rule 2014 says we can have only 50. So the correct answer will be 50, though it is permitted to have 100 as per the Companies Act, but the central government will not permit you as per the Companies Rule 2014 more than 50. So 50 is the final one. So minimum 2%, the maximum 50. You cannot have less than 2%. Then if it is less than 2, it's a sole trade business and sole proprietorship. If it is more than 50, it's an illegal association as per the Companies Act. So both are not possible, means a company can have the members anywhere between 2 to 50 effectively. And of course, these partners, each and every member will be individually called as partners. I already explained. Those partners will have their own agreement, who is going to run the business, who is going to give more capital, who is support some other format. They will have their own ideology and sharing options. Of course, that will be either written or oral. It can be either oral or written. But which is better? In the case of disputes, if it is only oral agreement, of course, we may simply say that I have not said so. There will be a chances of missing the points what we have discussed orally. So it's better to put the agreement in written, but not necessary. But putting the agreement in the written form will be really ensures in the case of disputes arising among the partners. And of course, if they don't have the intention to run the business, of course, this will not be a partnership firm. As I already told you in the beginning case, if I plan to go for a tour along with my friends, and this will not be considered as a partnership firm for tour, or I plan to go for the movie by joining 3 or 4 of my friends and forming a small firm or partnership for going to the movie, because there is no any intention of making any profit out of that, so it will not come under partnership. Similarly, I and my friend and I put together purchase a land to hold for some period, and later we plan to sell off for a profit. So, but we are purchasing the land and keeping it for the long period and selling it off for a profit later. It involves no any business activity for running that particular activity, right? That investments in the land and selling the land to earn the profit, right? As we don't have any operations behind this, of course, this will not also come under partnership. This will be joint ownership. Joint ownership will not come under partnership. I hope so you could understand the business. Then the fourth feature here is mutual agency. Mutual agency is nothing but A, B, C, D are the 4 partners. If A makes any mistake by running the business, automatically it binds the other partners also to face the consequences because of the A's loss. So this is what about the predominant one in the case of mutual agency. As already told you, carried on by all or any one of them acting for all. As per the definition itself, the business is carried on by one or by all or any one of them acting for all. It means acting for all means if I act, it's for all partners too. So automatically it binds the others also. So unless we have the mutual agency agreement, definitely the partnership firm will not exist. So one of the partners' mistake binds the others also. I hope you could now understand the fourth point. And whatever the profit you get here will be shared. Whatever the profit is there, that profit will be shared among the partners. It is also agreed. Okay, sir, profit, okay, we are pretty happy to share the profit. No problem. If loss arises, what happens then? So it's very simple. When the profit shared, automatically it implies, though it is not given in the section 4 definition. Section 4 definition agreed to share profits only. Of course, there is no any prescription regarding the loss sharing. But the profit sharing itself implies any loss comes, it should also be shared by the partners, because partner join together to shoulder for the business and run it successfully. If any loss comes, and the other partner should also shoulder the loss, right? So this is what about implied. Implied meaning is whenever there is a loss, that loss should also be shared among the partners. I hope so you could now understand the fifth feature. Then the another feature here is Liability of the partnership firm. The liability of the partnership firm always unlimited. The partnership's liability is similar to the sole trade's liability, unlimited. If the liability is more than the assets available in the firm, each and every partner is individually liable to bring their personal assets to set off the losses or liability, individually and collectively, jointly or severally and jointly. Each and every partner individually responsible to meet out any liability arises unmet because of the assets available in the firm or collectively. So that's why it is called jointly and severally liable, and the liability is unlimited. But there is a slight variations in the case of a partnership firm, which is called limited liability partnership firm, and this was enacted in the LLP Act 2008. So the Limited Liability Act 2008 was enacted. This one, it is anywhere between liability means partnership and company. Like company has lots of operational procedures and the compliances with the government. But in order to reduce that and to make others also easily start the business and run this business, this LLP Act has been enacted in 2008. Limited Liability Partnership. The features of this limited liability partnership is it's a corporate company. It's a company, corporate. Corporate means automatically all the administration and reporting will come under Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Here, all the partners, if there is any issue, will abide to the Partnership Act. But here, any dispute comes, they have to report to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and they have to abide the LLP Act published and enacted in 2008. I hope so you could understand. So the main features, it's a corporate and has a separate legal entity. So here there is no separate legal entity. Here we have the separate legal entity because LLP is separate. The members within will be separate. Any loss arises in the LLP will not be claimed from the one of the partners of that. So that's the beauty of this one. So a corporate and having a separate entity. How many minimum number of partners possible? Minimum 2 partners. And 2 individuals should be designated partners. The administration, any issue arises, that issue will be addressed by at least 2 designated partners. So we can claim them if there is any malpractices happen. So 2 individuals as designated partners. Among the 2, at least one of them should be resident in India, another could be anybody. Right, so at least 2 of them could be resident, at least in the case of 2, at least one of them should be resident. So rest may be non-resident, all could be resident possibly, right? This is what about the second features of LLP. And then the third one, the Indian Partnership Act 1932 will not be applicable, not applicable here. This will not be applicable here. We have a separate act, Limited Liability Partnership Act, so that one only applicable, and it has a perpetual succession. So similar to the company, it has a long life. The life of the LLP is not restricted to the life of the partners or members here. And of course, the central government has some stringent control over this LLP. When central government finds any malpractices, they can come and investigate any LLP if they find so or feel so, right? Clear? I hope so you could understand the basic concepts here.